Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I got in a bipod from CVLIFE to take a look at today, and between sling swivel stud and M-LOK and Picatinny, I probably have close to 40 bipods, but this one here is a little bit unique and I thought maybe you guys would be interested in learning about it. So we'll do a real quick unboxing, we'll go over all the features and specifications, I'll show you guys how to mount it, and then give some thoughts on it. So it obviously just comes in a plain brown box. Just look at the label on it here. And then this is how it is packaged. This is like a plastic container that's in here. Let's get rid of that. And then we have the bipod legs, which is what kind of makes this a little bit unique. And then it looks like, so there's a piece right there for our M-LOK. Looks like there's some screws, some type of tool, and then a manual. And according to the manual, it looks like they have the black, which I have, and then also some type of like desert or khaki color. Quickly show you this. Looks like some good illustrations. Give you guys some close-ups here before we start going over all the details. It's obviously a little bit unique in that it's only like a leg or a half, whereas this is what a typical, M-LOK bipod is going to look like, whereas this is going to attach onto the bottom of your M-LOK rail. These here are going to attach to the side. In their shortest position, they're about 7.5 inches in length. Extended, it goes out to about 9. I'll show you that here in a bit. And we're looking at a weight, both of them just over 11 ounces. And just for a quick comparison, the other M-LOK one that I have up here is about the exact same weight. But this one does have a lot of plastic on the legs, whereas the CVLIFE one here is pretty much all metal. This is some type of aluminum. I'm not sure if it's 6061 or not, but most of it is metal. These up here are some type of metal here for that hardware. The M-LOK nuts are metal. That stud thing right there is some type of metal. These do have like a texturized like rubber foot on each leg here. And then this clamp right here, I'm not sure if it's metal or not. If it is, it feels different than what this aluminum here is. This could be some type of like really thick plastic, but because it sounds and it feels different. And I think this locking wheel here, I think that's some type of metal as well. But overall, it does feel like it's constructed really well. So one of the features of this bipod is that the legs can go basically 180 degrees. So I'll show you later once I mount it, but you can have them pointing back towards you or away from you, whereas like a lot of them will only go to 90 degrees and you can't go any further than that. So you're stuck kind of like right to there. Whereas the CVLIFE one actually has 5 positions that you can move it to. And you basically just kind of give a little bit pull and then it locks into the next one. So it's 45, then 90 degrees, and then you come over this way. So yeah, I'm just kind of pulling down a little bit and then it's really smooth and it locks up rock solid, whichever one you're in. And I'll show you this better once I mount it. So I told you it's 7.5 inches in the shortest position here and it extends out to 9 inches. What's somewhat unique about this, most bipods, you have like a tension button or clamp or whatever, and you push it and it kind of like springs out the legs. This here, you basically just pull the leg. There's 5 positions, and again, it'll travel that 1.5 inches over that. So we're in the shortest position. If I want to go to the next one, I literally just grab onto the foot and pull it, and then it locks into that spot. Once you get to the position that you want, you can take this little wheel here and turn it, and then that kind of like double locks it or secures it even more into place. You don't necessarily have to do that, but you can. And then if you want to go to another position, again, you just pull it. So now we're in position 3, that's 4, and 5. And then here's what's, again, sort of unique about this one, is that to get it to go back in is when you actually push that clamp, and then it brings it real nice and solid right back up in there. But from any of those positions, it brings it right back in. And again, most bipods is the opposite. You push that and then you kind of lock it in place or whatever. But yeah, you push it to deploy. And I really like this here where you can just pull to whatever position you want. So I'm going to be mounting this here in a second. And just so YouTube knows, putting a bipod on a rifle does not modify the rifle in any way. It doesn't make it do anything other than what it was still originally manufactured to do. And I am also working with a completely safe firearm here. So because these can swivel 180 degrees, there really is no wrong or right. You just have to decide if you want like your locking wheel to be basically facing like the outside or facing more back towards you. Personally, I'm going to go with it facing away from me. You typically want to put your bipod pretty far out on your handguard. A couple reasons for that. One, it provides a lot more stability the further out. And two, it gives you still room to place your hand here if you're not using the bipod. You know, if you put this here, you'd have to be gripping around both of these, and it's not comfortable and it's not real stable. So put it out pretty far. CVLIFE included 4 extra bolts, but no extra nuts. So don't lose the 4 that came with it. So mounting these is generally pretty easy. You do have to loosen these up enough so that the actual nut can get behind the handguard. This will kind of go in like this right here. And then there's these little tabs right here that basically will go on each side of this. And then once this starts to tighten, these nuts will turn like this, kind of vertically, and then will lock in behind this. So again, just kind of keep your nuts kind of lined up in the same direction that your M-LOK slots are going, and then just try to basically press everything into those slots, just like that right there. And then I'll start to tighten this up. If you ever get it to where that nut is just kind of spinning back behind there and it doesn't want to grab onto that handguard, you can take that same type of little magnet that I showed earlier and kind of like lift up, and it will kind of like catch, and then you'll be able to tighten it. Or you can take like a small flathead and go through one of the other M-LOK spots and kind of push up. But this here works really well, just doing it like this, and then that'll allow you to tighten it up. All right, got both sides installed. It only took a minute. I don't know the exact torque to tell you guys to get those down to. You do want them to be pretty snug, but not so tight that it could possibly bend your handguard. And again, this is what I was talking about mounting them kind of far forward. It still allows me to get my hand here. Whereas if they were back here, this is really awkward to try to put my hand around something like this. So you do want to be pretty far out there on your handguard. And you know, if you want to basically deploy them, you just grab and put it in position. If you're on uneven terrain or something and you need them to be like offset, you can do that, or pull them both down to the same spot. And again, if you choose to, you can run them back here in this position, but I probably would not recommend it that way, but you can do it. And when they're mounted and you want to go to the different heights, you literally just pull down on it to whatever you want. And let's say that you're on some uneven terrain. You could be on position 5 here, and then let's say position 2 here, and then it basically makes the rifle level. So I have both of these legs at their highest position, and the little knob here is in the unlocked position. I'm going to put some pretty good pressure and push down here, and that's not budging at all. Again, you can lock them just to give you more security. But I'm like leaning on this really heavily, and they are not budging. All right, so let's talk about some of the pros and some potential cons with the CVLIFE bipod. So first thing I'll say is that the build quality on this seems to be really good. There aren't any like machining marks or like milling marks or anything like that. The anodization seems to be pretty well perfect on it. Even though they're fairly lightweight, they do seem to be, pretty heavy duty or sturdy. There is lots of adjustability between the legs going in all the different positions and the feet being able to go into multiple positions. Whatever position you put the legs in, it does seem to be a very solid lockup. There's no movement at all really once it gets there, and the same goes for the feet. Wherever it's at, they will not collapse. And again, I still have it on the unlocked position. I can twist that over and lock it now. But either way, those aren't moving. And I actually like how you pull down to get the feet or the leg into the position that you want. This is the first bipod I've ever had that does that like that. I think it's a pretty clever design, and then they go back up just so smooth and easy. So there's a few things I want to make you guys be aware of on a bipod like this. First thing to kind of caution you on is because the legs up here, it's under like a spring tension. You pull to move it to the next spot. I've actually had a couple of times where I've went to pull or extend the feet down here, and when I pull, it actually kind of pulls the whole leg. See how that's like pulling? I'm only in spot 2 right now, and when I go to pull here, look how the whole leg, so that could actually move up there, even though I'm trying to extend the feet down here. So that can move out and kind of could make you go to a wrong position or something. So just be aware of that. Second thing to tell you guys about is that the width between the legs is going to be significantly more just because of how it mounts up here on the side of your handguard. It already starts wider. So as it comes down and kind of splays out, it's going to be wider. This is about 8 inches at its shortest position, and then when you go with the legs longer, it obviously gets even wider. Other thing to make you aware of is because this is 2 separate pieces, you have to use 2 separate M-LOK slots. So if you're somebody who likes to run a flashlight up front or whatever other accessory you might use, it's not going to be able to go on the side up there like that. You're going to have to go onto the bottom. Versus something like this that's only using 1 spot here, so you can still put other accessories up there. I personally don't really care for like swivel and tilt bipods, but if that's something that's important to you, this one does not do that. So like this one here, you could have it on your gun and then you can basically spin the gun any direction and then also tilt it like 20 degrees each way or something. But I personally do almost all bench shooting and a stationary target, so I don't usually use any type of swivel and tilt ones. And finally, the last little nitpicky thing is that they included 4 extra bolts here but no extra nuts, and those nuts are actually fairly small, and those are the things that you're probably going to lose more than the bolts. So I would rather them include 2 extras of each thing instead of 4 of just the bolts. But overall, it seems like it's really well made, and I don't think you can go wrong with it. So these bipods are available on Amazon. Show you the price right there. There is that discount code. If CVLIFE provides me with any type of discount code, I'll include that down in the video description, and I'll leave the Amazon link for these down there as well. But alright guys, that's going to be it on this one. If you found the video helpful or informative in any way, please give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. And thanks for watching, I appreciate it.